Hi friends! In our small talk video, we mentioned that talking about star signs is a great topic for small talk, particularly if you don't know that person. So if you haven't seen the small talk video, go check it out. It's got loads of great example sentences, especially kind of conversation starters. But in this video, we're gonna dive into the world of star signs. And don't worry, if you're not into it, this is actually a great excuse to learn about personality traits. So how do we talk about positive and negative personality traits? So it's kind of a two-in-one video. We will have two decks for you to study, one on all the star sign terms and one on all the personality terms. And where can you get these decks?
Skritter!
That's right. Go download Skritter if you haven't already. Study from hundreds of textbooks, thousands of custom-made decks, and you will get a free copy of Skritter's complete guide to studying Chinese.
Sounds awesome.
So before we kick off the star sign personality topic, so we're going to go through each star sign. And there's quite a few, so don't worry, we're only going to pick a couple of. So before we kick off today's topic, I just want to say that a lot of the ways that we're describing personalities, if you want to kind of add more oomph and more strength to it, of course you can add 很,非常,不太,有点 in front of all these ways you describe people's personalities. Let's start with my star sign, and that is
牡羊座
Aries. So the ram is very much known to be very competitive. And Iona and I were debating a little bit as to whether that's actually a positive trait. But today we're going to count it as a positive trait. And the way that you say that in Mandarin is
好胜
好胜, to want to win. And this is something I'll definitely take on board, is that Aries is often lack patience, and that is
没耐心
yes, so 没耐心 or 没耐性. So 耐心 is patience and 耐性 is the temperament of having patience. So both terms can be used. Next on the list, Taurus.
金牛座
金牛座, the golden cow. Tauruses are known for being very kind of 2 feet, very solid, grounded people. And how would you say someone that's very firm of mind, very solid?
坚定
This is a great description for a personality. However, sometimes Tauruses allegedly can be a little bit inflexible, and that is
不灵活
that's right. That's also a great term to learn. 不灵活 or 这个人很灵活. Can you guess what the Chinese term for Gemini is? That is
双子座
and Geminis generally are very humorous and funny people, and that is described as
幽默
However, Geminis, because of this dual nature, are often known to be quite distracted or sometimes kind of unable to decide on things.
他们很多变易分心
And I think these terms we can use right now, especially in the current age, right? You can say 我最近很容易分心 I'm just really distracted at the moment. So not just a way to describe a personality, but your general state as well. Iona's star sign, and that is Cancer, the giant crab horoscope, and that is
巨蟹座
And tell us about what your positive trait is.
非常多就是温柔友善还有什么细腻然后很关心他人
I have heard the most common term to describe cancers is that they are very home-centered people. So
爱家
很爱家. However, what would you describe as your negative trait?
过度敏感非常情绪化
Very sensitive
Very true.
and emotional.
Emotional damage.
Leo should be quite easy to guess if you know the word for lion, and that is
狮子座
Leos are natural born leaders. You know, they really take the lead in a crowd. And they're also very generous people. And how would we describe that?
很慷慨
However, with this strong sense of leadership, sometimes they can be a bit bossy, I guess, right?
霸道
Yes, they always kind of want to get their way.
Everything is a present. pressing issue.
Our dad is a Virgo, and boy is he a perfectionist. How do you say Virgo in Mandarin?
处女座
Literally the Virgin's horoscope. And this perfectionist term is also great to learn, and that is?
追求完美
So that's someone that seeks perfection, but if you are a perfectionist, that is?
完美主义者
These perfectionists also sometimes can be a bit strict, I would say. So what would be kind of the negative term that we're learning today?
严格
Yes, very strict. Libras, I'm also gonna let you have a guess because they have this scale from the sky. They are called?
天秤座 or 天秤座
That's right. Libras have loads of friends, right? They have friends from every reach of life. But because they are always weighing the pros and cons and the different aspects of different things, sometimes they can also be a bit indecisive. So how do we describe someone like this?
交友广泛
Yes, to have friends in many areas of life.
犹豫不决
Cannot make a decision. So if you're shopping for a sofa and you just can't decide, you can be like, Tina,
我好犹豫哦，到底要选哪一个？
I'm just so hesitant, not sure what to pick. Gwilym is a sky scorpion. Scorpio is?
天蝎座
Now, some say, or a lot of people say, Scorpios are very mysterious. But as someone that knows a Scorpio up close, I would say they're just thinking about what they want to have for lunch. So how do we say mysterious in Mandarin?
很神秘
Now, Scorpios, because of their venomous strike, they're known to always hold a grudge, and that is?
爱记仇
爱记仇, another great term. Our girl Lyra is a Sagittarius, and yes, she is super wild and free. How do we say that in Mandarin?
奔放又自由
Actually, if you turn those terms around, 自由奔放 is a common phrase that you will hear for someone that is just free and wild. And what would you say a negative trait that people use to describe Sagittarius?
容易无聊
Get bored easily. Next up, Capricorns. Capricorns are very earnest and very... This is, I find, sometimes a bit of a difficult term to translate. It's easy to translate as serious, but it just means someone that's very earnest and serious without the kind of the boring aspect of serious, right? Someone that's very intentioned.
I think there is a profound and enduring beauty.
认真
However, Capricorns are known to be a little bit insecure at times. So how do we describe that?
没安全感
The penultimate horoscope of today's video is the water bottle horoscope, which is Aquarius, and that's
水瓶座
our dear mom, our late mom was 水瓶座. And I feel that Aquarius is really kind of have their own sense of who they want to be. They are not afraid of being themselves, even if sometimes that can seem a bit strange almost, right? So how would we describe that?
怪
I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat?
Let's have another one.
有个性
So 个性 is actually the term for personality. So you can imagine to have a lot of personality. Now, sometimes depending on the context, this can be used in a negative or positive
I think
way.
it's mostly negative
Yeah, mostly,
如果有
yeah.
人说你有个性，就是 in a polite way to tell you you are being rude or being weird or being like
God!
So it depends on what kind
当然
of context and what kind of circles you move in, right? Because maybe in your group of friends, individuality is really celebrated. So maybe on that track of being oneself, can we have a slightly negative term to describe someone that's just kind of in their own world and does their own thing?
特立独行
I love this phrase. So to stand alone and to walk alone.
Why are you doing this?
I just felt like running.
And the last horoscope of today is the romantic Pisces. And how do we describe that?
双鱼座
The very romantic.
很浪漫
However, Pisces, because it's two fish flopping around. 是这样吗？ Sometimes they cannot stick to their own opinions. Oh, okay. So of course, all of the terms that we covered today, this is just kind of using horoscopes as an excuse to talk about personality traits. We've actually compiled quite a detailed list of positive, neutral, and negative ways to describe personalities. I would strongly recommend you go check that out. All right, well, we hope you enjoyed this a little bit long video, but we hope you found ways to kind of describe these horoscopes. And again, they really are fantastic for small talk. Describe your horoscope and 2 phrases to describe your personality. And we'll see you next time. 再见，
拜拜。